to Cumberland County Commissioners Workshop Meeting of July 28, 2016. Please rise and join me. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Be seated. We'll call this meeting to order at 9 a.m. and open the floor for public comment. Hearing and seeing none, we'll move on to item number 3. And I'll call on Olivia Baird and Peter Ruka and Nikki Hathaway regarding press release of Cumberland County's new K-9 staff. Which, whoever, so who's coming up here to do this? Somebody? Tony, come on. You guys got to make a move for this. I'm sorry. This is not the first time we've ever done this. Just go to sleep.
Typical politicians clap.
Where's the room?
Take photos in front here.
Well, good morning. Thank you for having us. This is Diego. He is a Susquehanna service dog, and the Cumberland County Bar Foundation has seen fit to pay for him to be ours, and he is at Children's Services every day, comes to work with me, and he stays with me at home. And after his years of service, he will become my dog, which is wonderful, because I can't imagine parting with him now. This is why we have Diego, as opposed to somebody else. This is what he does. This is his superpower. And he does this with children who are in court-related projects or interviews. He can be with them when they are testifying to give them comfort. Some children are, if they are perhaps being interviewed for physical abuse, sexual abuse. Sometimes children can talk to dogs more easily than people, so they will tell the dog their story. And Diego has been taught special tasks for this purpose by Susquehanna Service Dog. He will put his head on your lap. He will drape across your lap. He will sit between your legs, and you can just pet him. For a child who might be having an acting out moment, maybe an autism spectrum child, they can lay on the floor and he will lay on top of them to help with the pressure therapy that those children need. And I must say that although he was designed for the children, what he has done for our staff is amazing. Everybody just loves him. When they're having a stress moment, they run back to, he switches off between my office and the paralegal's office. They're right next to one another. And they'll go in and sit with him and pet him and de-stress, and then they can get back to their job with the positivity that they tried to do. So he has been a great, great asset, and I thank the Bar Foundation and all of you for allowing him to join us.
I want to know if Diego has anything to say.
No, you know, the beautiful thing about Diego is he's never been taught to speak. It's sort of like, I suppose, that husband-wife thing. Yeah, sometimes you just don't want to know what to think. But no, he's absolutely perfect.
I just wanted to add that there will be ongoing expenses with respect to Diego that the Bar Foundation has assumed responsibility for. However, it's been truly amazing that we've made available little donation cards
I happen to have a stack.
for Diego, and money has been coming in almost on a regular basis to help defray the expenses for Diego. Also want to say that I think Cumberland County is one of only 3 or 4 counties in the state that has such a dog. I think your county has 2 of them. Lancaster has one, and Coffin County, I believe, is applying for one now. So we're very proud to be associated with this project.
If I may also add something, just to give what we all know about our community, but to give a couple of kudos. Knisley's Farm and Pet Center is donating all of his food, and I think they should be recognized for that. And the veterinarian office called Kindred Spirit Veterinary Hospital, the veterinarian there is Doris Doe, will be donating all of their veterinary services for him. So we are most appreciative for that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Shall we get a photo?
I can get out of the photo.
Let's see, I'll be there.
Does Diego shake hands?
He fist bumps. I thought he would enjoy that for the kids.
That's a high end.
We need him over here in the commissioner's office.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Certain commissioners
We have
have
a That's fine.
Is he one of our merit-based compensation
Yes, he
systems?
Jim, he also gets a message when
You may learn to
Hey Larry, I've never seen so many smiles in here before. I think this should precede every meeting.
I think that's because you're here.
Every office needs a Diego. Thank you so much.
Watch out.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, he's like the more active one. Right, Cecil?
Cecil, his brother, is a CIA bomb sniffing dog, by the way. Look what I have. I will leave him. Right there.
Great. All right.
Thank you, everybody, so much for your time.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you. Thank you, Diego. Gracias, señor Pedro. We will move on now to call on John Maker to come up and talk about our Wills for 8th Wills for Heroes program. John.
I'm just going to defer to me. We will be hosting our 8th Wills for Heroes event in the Department of Public Safety coming up. For those that aren't familiar, this is a program that we work with Penn State Law School, Penn State Beacons Law, and the Bar Association and different attorneys from around the area that volunteer their time to come and provide free wills for first responders in our area. Each year we do anywhere between 50 and 60 free wills for police, fire, and EMS. They sign up and pre-register, come in that day. It's for them and their spouses, spend about an hour or 2 hours with these attorneys and walk away with a free will. It's estimated that about 90% of first responders do not have any type of will or and the documents, end-of-life documents and stuff like that. So it's a really great program. It's really important considering the dangerous nature of their jobs. We'll be excited to be posting that on October 29th it is, all day. And again, students from the law school come and spend their entire day. Local attorneys volunteer their time the entire day. It's a really great program. Tom does a great job working with them and organizing it all. So we'll be hosting that. Sign-up information will be going out to first responders very shortly. There will be kind of an online portal opened up that folks can do that. But we're excited to be doing that once again.
Do you want a picture?
I'm good. Not that I don't want a picture with you all, but I have a lot of pictures.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Megan. We'll move on now to item number 5, resolution 2016-22 regarding budget adjustments with Dana Betts.
Records Improvement is requesting to increase expenses by $21,000 for the Sheriff People's cameras, and there is no impact to the general fund.
Any questions for Dana? Thank you, Dana. Move on, please, and call on Gary Weber, Kyle Miller, and Kurt Stoner, running press release and presentation of financial sponsorship on behalf of the Mechanicsburg Borough, the household hazardous waste event scheduled August 20th, 2016.
Thanks, Larry. Commissioners, on August 20th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Planning Department, Recycling and Waste Authority cordially invite you out to our facility for our annual household hazardous waste event. Last year, we collected about 121,000 pounds of household hazardous waste over that time period and served almost 1,000 vehicles during that time frame. So we look at what household hazardous waste is: oil-based paints, pesticides, chlorine products, lead batteries, flammable solids, aerosols, fire extinguishers, all this nasty stuff that when you look at it, it's not regulated by federal, state laws, hazardous waste. So it can be put in your regular waste stream, but you can see the downstream impacts of that when it's put in the landfill. So we have events like this. We're taking, last year, 121,000 pounds of that and disposing of it in a responsible manner, whether it be through recycling, reuse, and some other manner. So looking at the program again this year, it's August 20th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Rain or shine at our facility. Financial support for this is very important because it's not cheap. Last year the event ran about $95,000, so we get financial support from Department of Agriculture, Department of Environmental Protection, Advanced Disposal, Penn Waste, and then we use some of our reserve funds. This year we made a call to our municipal partners asking them if they'd be interested in partnering with us on the event. Mechanicsburg Borough was very generous and stepped forward and made a donation to the program. So we have Kyle Miller here with us today, Councilman in Mechanicsburg Borough, to present the check. And anything you have to say?
Well, Mechanicsburg is proud to support this event. I think most of the credit goes to our recycling committee, which is a very active group of citizens, and they asked us to sponsor this household hazardous waste event. And as it gets increasingly difficult to recycle such things, it's important that we take a look at this and that we make available and promote such events for our citizens.
Good. So I think we'll have to do a quick picture, right, Chris? Okay.
Thank you.
Kyle, can you say thank you?
You all get together.
Here we are.
Ms. Small. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Just a word of caution, you may need an extra truck with all the broken air conditioning. Commissioner Eichel is supposed to be in Mechanicsburg. Thank you very much. Thank you for the generous contribution. Moving on to item number 7, please note there is an action requested. I will call on our Grand Triumvirate, Robin Toland, Sylvia Herman, Joe Carroll. Discussion of the 2016-17 Cumberland County Human Services Plan. And by the way, Robin did all the work.
Well, I coordinated it. I didn't do all of the work. The Human Service Plan is a compilation of plans from mental health, intellectual and developmental disabilities, drug and alcohol, Human Service Development Fund, and Homeless Assistance Program. So in all of those sections of the plan, you'll find strengths, you'll find achievements, current services that are happening, as well as the needs of each of those programs. The mental health piece is what I did most of the work for. And in that piece, you will find a number of initiatives that we're working on. One of the biggest currently is our suicide prevention initiative. We've had several meetings about that and really trying to address that both in Cumberland and Perry counties, as Perry County has the highest suicide rate in the capital region, and Cumberland is the second highest. So those are initiatives and areas that we really want to focus on right now. In addition, our increase in need and accessing mental health services has been tremendous. We have doubled our state hospital referrals, and part of that due to the budget cut from several years ago and not having the wealth of community services that can meet the needs of some of the folks that are much more severe. A lot of trauma-related kinds of things that we're finding in folks in the state hospital really aren't able to be safe in the community. So we're really needing to look at how to develop programs that are more supportive and more intensive for individuals in the community setting. So you'll see that as one of our initiatives as well in the plan. I don't know, Jack's here as well as Sue, if you guys have anything to add on the intellectual disability side or the drug and alcohol side.
On the intellectual disability side, we discussed how we plan to support our individuals and our families through the lifespan from 3 years old up through their senior years. How the system is integrated community services. We don't send people to institutions anymore. We're trying to get them out of there and bring them back to the community. It involves a collaboration with schools. It involves collaboration with our community department, community partners, other county departments such as mental health, and we're now working with drug and alcohol on a case, and also with aging. Our plan talks about a lot of cross-systems training, especially for mental health and also for aging.
Drug and alcohol portion of the plan, as you can imagine, is dominated by our current struggles with the opiate epidemic and the challenges and stress that's putting on particularly our case management and treatment services. So we've focused on the need to expand treatment capacity sort of across the board. There's a need to expand access to medication-assisted treatment options. That includes methadone, Suboxone services, and a more newly available option, Vivitrol or naltrexone. But it also includes expanding the capacity of our inpatient non-hospital programs. We've been able to make some progress in that, taking advantages of reinvestment funds from our Regional Health Choices program. There are 2 new projects underway right now. One is going to fund an expansion of non-hospital detox beds and rehab beds at Gaudenzia Common Ground in Harrisburg. We'll be able to add an additional 14 beds. And that's important because on any given day when our case manager is trying to place somebody, and most likely that somebody has an addiction to heroin or some other opiate, in a detox bed, it can be very difficult to find a vacant bed anywhere in the state. So we're glad to be adding some beds in our region. And then we're also going to be funding the creation of a new halfway house for men with reinvestment dollars as well. So this plan talks about funds that we manage and control directly, but it also takes note of resources that were available to us through our Regional Health Choices program as well.
And with all of that, the HSDF and the homeless assistance, those programs seem to just focus on what current services they have. And with all of our services, since there's not an increase in funding, most of the services are looking at maintaining what's available. And that's a struggle because with flat funding, it really isn't flat when you have expenses going up with healthcare and things like that from the providers and other entities. So you need to look at how to juggle all of that within the program. So that has pretty much been an emphasis on all of the programs, how to maintain the services that are currently available and supporting our residents. Does anyone have any questions about the plan at all?
I just want to compliment you and the others that worked on the plan and tried to essentially continue to provide the important services that you do within the funding that's made available from the state. The governor tried to seek restoration of the past. And he was unsuccessful in the most recent budget. I'm hoping it's at some point in time our legislators recognize the fact that we can't continue to do more with less. But the fact that and with the increasing demands that we have for these services. So I want to commend you all for everything you're doing to try to still meet the needs with diminishing resources. And you deserve our commendation for that.
Any other questions or comments? Right, there is an action requested.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
A second.
Second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 8, for the commissioners. Request for a letter of support for Hampton Township grant funding for the multimodal transportation fund to support the road resurfacing project throughout Hampton Township. And there is an action requested on this.
Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to contracts and grants, item number 9, which are going to be sent.
Thank you, Larry. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to begin this morning by calling on Christine, who is joining us today via video teleconferencing to discuss the agreement between Aging and Community Services and Stephanie E. Burnett, Esquire. Christine? Christine?
Good morning. Good morning, sorry. Good morning. We're asking to renew our contract with Stephanie to do our to do our living wills and power of attorney for aging consumers over the age of 60.
Are there any questions for Christine?
Well, I do have one, actually. Christine, how many seniors have we served with this in the past year, and how does that compare with previous years? Do you know?
I don't have that information right before me, but I can provide you that information at a later date.
Okay, that's fine. If you could get that to us, I'd appreciate it.
Sure, no problem.
And Christine, is there a cost associated with this?
Yes, each living will is $65, and each POA, we pay $100. It's no cost to the consumer. And we have capped their contract at $25,000 a year.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there any questions?
Yeah, one other. Christine, is there a means test involved in this at all?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, so it's available free of charge to folks 60 and older, is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. It's one of the few services that is not based on a fee scale.
Okay.
We do tell them that there is a contribution box out front.
Okay. All right. Well, again, if we could get the numbers on how many people we serve and that, I'd appreciate it. And,
No problem.
I know at one point that we were providing regular wills to seniors, and we dropped that because of the cost. And
Correct.
Right now, we're doing the living wills and powers of attorneys, but I'd like to get some more information on the program and maybe take a look at any refinements that we might want to consider moving forward. Okay?
Okay.
Thank
Okay.
Thank you, Christine.
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to call on Lisa, who's going to discuss the agreement between children and youth and Daikon Child, Family, and Community Ministries. Lisa?
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm here to ask approval for a Daikon for fiscal year 15-16. They are asking for a rate increase on 4 of their 12 per diems, one of them being a 4.57%. That's the traditional foster care of the like programs and other providers. They are the third lowest, so it is still considerably lower than a lot of our other foster care providers. And the other increase, which is a 7.52%, is for specialized income treatment, which is for sex offenders. And they have not asked for an increase since 2007, 2008. And this program is typically funded by MA, but occasionally we have to pick up the cost until MA kicks in or they get the approval to provide the service. And they are also reducing the one in-home service that we use by 2.91%. And then also, I have a quick update. We have about 7 more fiscal year 15-16 contracts that will need approved. 3 of them still waiting approval for the state. 4 of them are in queue to come here. The majority of those do not have rate increases. I think 2 of them will have a rate increase request. And then also, good news, we just received an email yesterday that on July 8th, Governor Wolf signed the House Bill 1062, which will allow the state to continue this process, and the state with a 2-year approval on the fiscal year 15-16 contract, so we should be able to start moving forward with 16-17 fairly quickly. Yes.
Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, one question. You mentioned the one contract was asking for a large increase, haven't had one in quite a while. The others, how long has it been since the others had increases?
Last year,
Last year.
minimal increases. A lot of these providers are asking on a regular basis, and I have a feeling that a lot of them next year are going to be asking for increases because of the overtime law that went through. A lot of them will have to increase their salaries and stuff, so they're wanting to increase more staff, and that'll increase premiums.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to call on Annette, who is joining us via video teleconferencing to discuss the 2 agreements for Claremont Nursing and Rehabilitation Center. Annette?
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me okay? The first contract is with Cumberland Perry Health Education Resource Center. They're the facility that, or the organization that performs our CPR recertification for our employees. It is $45 per person, and the contract has a minimum class size, but we normally anticipate between around $550 of recertification that this contract would cover. And this is a cost that is required to be provided to our staff. Any questions on that one? The second is simply an approval of the CMS 855A. Each time that the administrator changes or anyone needs to be updated on that clearance of the CMS, this form needs to be done. There's no commissioner approval as far as signature that's needed, just the official approval from the board to submit it. Any questions?
Thank you, Annette.
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to call Mike to discuss the agreement between the controllers of Wagner, Fruininger, and Dog LLP. Mike?
Hello, Commissioner. The Wagner Fruit and Dog contract is for audits of all 10 of the MDJs in the county. Such audits are a requirement not only in county code, but also state court law. The contract is for $50,000. Over an 11-year period, the contract has increased less than 4% over the last 11 years. So, any questions?
Thank you, Mike. Next, we'll move on. Michelle Seibert is unable to attend the meeting today, so on her behalf, I am asking for action requested on the acceptance of the sub-grant award from PCCD for Victims of Crime Act 2016-2019. And the total award amount is $482,889. And she is asking for action requested today.
I'll make a motion to accept the sub-grant award from PCCD for Victims of the Crime Act 2016-2019 grant application.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. Next, I'll call on Ryan Simon to discuss the 6 agreements for drug and alcohol. And he has provided a summary which you have on your tablet and also have a hard copy. Ryan?
Good morning, Commissioners. Of the 6, there are 3 providers that are not asking for increases. They're asking for the same rates as last year. For Bowling Green, they are asking for 5% and 4% increases. Treatment Trends, they're asking for a 5% and a 2% increase. And then White Deer Run, they're asking for between no increase and 5%. And again, these go through the home counties. Each provider must submit financial documentation to justify the increase. and they have been approved by the home counties.
Are there any questions for Ryan? Thank you, Ryan. Next we'll move on to Beth, and she's here to discuss the agreement between ERP and business software. Beth?
Good morning. This is a addendum to existing contract. It's a one-year maintenance for our tax factory software. Tax factory works with Lawson to calculate our payroll taxes. It's for $5,931, and it's a increase since last year. It's based on the number of employees we actually pay in a year's time. So we have a 4% increase that the vendor once, and then an extra 4% increase because of the additional number of employees we paid this past year.
So it's an 8% increase then?
Correct.
Other questions for Beth?
What's the total amount of the contract again?
$5,931.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
Next, I'm calling on John Lobb. Well, I didn't move on. I don't see John.
There he is.
There he is, okay. Next, we'll be calling on John Lobb via video teleconferencing to discuss the agreement between Facilities Management and South Jersey Energy. John?
Yes, Commissioners. We have 3 contracts here. There are 3 transaction agreements for natural gas consumption on all the county-owned facilities. There's 3 separate contracts because of the different rate classes. And the one contract includes the new courthouse. The one contract includes the prison and the nursing home. And the other contract includes all the rest of the accounts. The one with the NT accounts are the fixed rate accounts. And that's where we only have the option of burning gas. The other 2 are interruptible accounts. The one at the new courthouse and the one at the nursing home and the prison. They're called interruptible accounts because we have the option of burning either oil or gas. And there's 3 different rate classes and 3 different pricing structures.
Are there any questions for John? Thank you, John. Next, I'd like to call on Sue Carwell, who will be discussing the 3 agreements for fiscal year 2016-17 for early intervention and 7 agreements for fiscal year 2016-17 for intellectual and developmental disabilities. Sue?
Thank you. The 3 contracts for early intervention, they're all 16-17 renewals. They're for therapies. The first 2 contracts are for therapies for the children. And the 3rd contract is our interpreter contract. We use it sporadically throughout the year whenever we have a family who needs that service. The IDD contracts are again 16-17 renewals. They are for supported employment, rehabilitation, behavior support. There's a residential based contract in there, and for transportation. All the amounts are set forth there for you. So are there any questions?
Thank you, Sue. Next, I'd like to call on Chuck to discuss the submission of a grant to the Pennsylvania Board of Starvation Control for grant aid. Chuck?
Morning. Basically, this is our year-end fiscal or financial statement to the public, or the Pennsylvania Board of Probation and Parole. It shows where the grant that we received, $228,000, which goes directly to the general fund to help offset some of the adult probation costs, and also the supervision fees, which we collect from our defendants, or total of $776,000 goes into the supervision fund, which supports 8 POs and 1 staff member, as well as buying equipment and supplies for the adult probation office.
Are there any questions for Chuck?
So Chuck, this didn't get cut unlike some other things that were supposed to pay for judges. This was not cut, this is the same level of funding? that we are used to getting?
Yes, well, it's actually down about $14,000 for the grant and aid. The supervision fees were up just based on collections. But the grant and aid is based on a statewide formula, and I guess with the budget cuts, and it has been going down a little bit.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next, I'd like to the sheriff's office agreement. I don't see Claudia right now.
I'm at a disadvantage. Commissioners, Larry, Sandy, Keith, Jenny, thanks very much for your time. I wanted to be extremely succinct, but I'm going to fail because everybody's really brief, but I'll do my best. My pitch is for new money, which is why I'm at a slight disadvantage here. Essentially what we're requesting, and I got to give you a little backstory so that you understand it, because I want you to have a brief snapshot of my world for a second. Law enforcement's full of liability. There's a reason to carry a gun and wear a bulletproof vest. Everybody understands that. That's the obvious. You can turn on the news at any point and get disinformation that's not usually accurate, but we're not the most popular, in the eyes of some people, it's not the most popular profession right now. So in my world, we, because of the responsibilities we have to train. We have to train often. We have to be good at what we do. We have to make decisions in short order, and we do that. We do it a lot, and I think we're very good at it. My concern has been for some time that I am not a policy writer. I'm not an attorney. I can't follow national or even state case law on a regular basis to figure out if what we're doing is in accordance with what we should be doing. So if I'm training on policies that aren't accurate or aren't up to date, I'm training on a house of cards. While we may do what we need to do when we need to do it, if we're not doing it based off what's the current national or state understood practice, we're failing. And there's two types of liability, or two things that I concern myself most with in my profession. One is vicarious liability. I'm responsible for subordinates and their actions, and the sheriff's responsible for my actions, and the county's responsible for overall everybody's actions. So that's obvious. The other one that comes up often in law enforcement is failure to train. And failure to train, there's two different types of it. There's one which is centered around a deliberate indifference. You don't know what you don't know. You do something, you don't know it's not right. Somebody calls you on it, and that generates case law and lawsuits, and you should have been doing it this way, you didn't do it this way, shame on you. The other one is just simply training liability, where we recognize that we have the ability to do things average citizens don't, and make decisions that average citizens don't. And because of that, I carry a gun, perhaps I should train with it. You do something before there's something bad happens, okay? But as I said, if you have good intentions and it's built on a house of cards because your policies aren't up to date, it's all for nothing. What we're trying to do is align ourselves with a company that's national and has many clients and is very diverse, and it's essentially a policy, law enforcement, emergency services company that will write, will update, will research our policies on a daily basis, compare what we have to what's national standards are and what state standards are, get everything we have up to date, add the ones we don't have, which there are ones we don't have, and continually monitor what goes on a regular basis and suggest changes and implement changes to our own policies to protect everybody. And for me to be excited about policies, I must be getting old and be doing this business for a while, but it is truly exciting. The cost is, reoccurring cost is about 10 or 11 grand a year. But when you reduce it to the ridiculous, and I'm not trying to sell you a used car, but if you do reduce it to the ridiculous, you're talking about $1 a day for each deputy that we have for an insurance policy. And here's why it's a little bit better than an insurance policy. An insurance policy provides indemnity. It fixes what occurs after the fact. I do this as both. We get policies that are current, and we train on them and get up to speed on them. And that's on the front end. On the back end, if we act in accordance with the policies we have, and the policies are current, we have defendability on the back end. So it's almost better than an insurance policy. And I'm rambling because I'm passionate about it, and I apologize. I'm not being succinct. but that's what we want. That's what I want to pitch. I'll oversee it. I'll be the administrator. I'm not sucking up, but me and the solicitor's office was helpful in that.
Keith, anything you'd like to?
Keith and Jen were extremely helpful in that.
I couldn't say any better.
Thanks. Maybe a few less words.
Is this like an SOPLD?
It is, but it's, yes, and it's continual. And it's law enforcement specific, easy for me to say. It's Pennsylvania specific. The back end of it, there's a software user interface. All the deputies will have access to it 24/7 on any device that they have. I'll get continual updates where you'll get a split screen literally, and you'll see our old policy, what Lexipol's suggesting is the new policy. They'll highlight the new stuff. They'll explain why you should implement this in your policies. You accept it. It gets forced to all the deputies. I can monitor the deputies, who's up to speed, who's done training. It does daily training updates on computers and mobile devices. Every day if you log in, you got to go through and pick a policy, pick a part of it. The deputies have to answer questions, so it's continual. We get training every day now, which we don't now.
So is Lexipol the only outfit that offers this?
They are the largest private outfit that offers this type of service to emergency services. They have, hopefully, Cumberland County, 35 people. They have Baltimore, they have Chicago, and they're all over the place.
Brian, how does Lexipol compare to, for example, I know police departments, when they want to get accredited?
That's a very good question.
They, I think, usually work through the Police Chiefs Association.
Yes.
They can, I don't think they have to.
Perfect question, and that's a segue into the last piece I want to talk about. Lexipol also has an accreditation piece. The sheriff is passionate about getting accreditation for our office. It is unbelievably time consuming. I can't do it. I have to put everything away and literally focus on it for 18 months, and I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, I do, but I'm not an accreditation person. Lexipol can be a stepping stone to accreditation. They will suggest policies based off the accreditation standards that you're interested in, and those policies become part of your policy manual. They'll highlight pieces of policies when you look at it and say, this has to stay in here because if you want to get accredited in the future, this needs to be in there. So it's a stepping stone. And number one, which is nice, and this goes through maybe next year, maybe before you ask me for that piece to be added to this, they will hold your hand and get you accredited without us having to hire anybody temporarily, we don't have the manpower to do it. We simply don't. And they do, and they essentially put their hand with it.
Does that answer my question?
Very good. That's a good question. Yes, sir.
And Keith, so this is, in terms of our purchasing and procurement, this is okay? You don't have to put out the bid? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
First, I just want to comment that I think your initial comment is relative to the populace. And I think the vast majority of our people both depend on and support our law enforcement, our police officers.
Absolutely.
And, I think that that's something that most of us realize, that, you're here to protect and serve, and you do that. And the sheriff's department as well. So I just want to make that comment because there may be some people out there that have concerns, but most people, again, depend on and support our law enforcement for everything that they do. Secondly, I was just wondering, does the Sheriff's Association have any programs available to assist the sheriff's departments throughout the state with respect to staying up on, procedures and
No, that's the short answer. We're getting a break because Lexipol gives us a upfront cost break because they give it to anybody in the Sheriff's Association NPA to try to help them get on board, but the Sheriff's Association does not. It's just a massive undertaking that nobody does.
Well, yeah, I was wondering whether they had some kind of consortium or, contract that we might be able to consider.
There's no such thing.
Joining with.
Right. It'd be nice, but that doesn't exist.
Okay. What have you used in the past to stay up to date?
That's another great question. common sense, my borrowing from other agencies that are accredited, law enforcement in general and training in general, all we do is steal stuff from other agencies. Somebody's done it before us. So we have great working relationships countywide with everybody that wears a uniform. If I need help or clarity on policy, I can get it, but that doesn't mean it's current now. That means when I wrote it, maybe it's current, but it's not getting reviewed by anybody. To answer your question, we've borrowed information from people and we've done our best.
Okay.
But I'm not comfortable with doing that.
Okay, now, so this essentially provides, proper protocols and policies. And, I don't know how many pages we're talking about here of protocols and policies. But what's important is once we get all this information, that our sheriffs know what's in there.
Absolutely.
Those policies are only as good as whether or not we're taking advantage of them.
Absolutely.
So my question is, does this include training, or this also includes training?
Yes, and that piece, it includes training on the shoulders of Lexipol, but it also includes training on the shoulders of me. You guys pay me for that. And it comes back to the failure to train piece. If we did all this and it didn't go anywhere, it's for nothing. And I'm not getting you guys sued, and I'm not getting sued. I want to protect our guys. I mean, our guys got to have the right information to make the right decision.
So Brian, I don't mean to sound silly. Are there going to be quizzes?
Yes, absolutely.
To make sure this is filtered.
Yep. They're daily. They're arbitrarily bits of information selected by Lexipol that when the deputies log on any computer or any of their devices, which they do, before you go anywhere, you have to answer the questions basically, and it's daily. And there's tracking of old policies for defendability if something happens 10 years down the road. It's in my world, it's pretty neat. I've got 10 minutes to explain to you why I think it's neat, so hopefully I haven't failed you.
Well, I think it's a good investment, so I don't have any problem with it.
Thank you.
And make sure everybody gets tasers.
That's next. That's in the budget. I did my homework. Thank you. Anything else for anybody?
Thank you.
Sorry I'm verbose. See you guys.
We wouldn't want you any other way, but.
Okay, we'll go up to public safety again. Let's see if we can get Claudia on the screen.
Oh, here she is.
Hi, Claudia.
Hi.
Claudia.
Sorry you missed me earlier.
That's okay.
All right, just.
If you want to go ahead and discuss.
Public safety.
Go ahead, honey.
Okay, sorry. Public safety is requesting approval for a grant agreement with Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency for fiscal year July 1 of 16 through June 30 of 17 for the Radiation Emergency Response Fund grant, commonly known as the RER grant, in the amount of $21,489. This is a no county match 100% grant, 100% funded grant, in which the funds are restricted for the purpose of developing and maintaining the comprehensive multi-agency emergency response plans, support, and response capabilities for the predefined areas surrounding the 3 Mile Island nuclear plant. Examples of previously grant-funded purchases including the calibration of the radiation detection meters, equipment for our emergency operations center, the portable emergency responder decontamination units, and some situational awareness equipment. This year's work plan is going to be focused on including support costs for the preparation of the federally evaluated biennial TMI exercise, which is scheduled for April 2017. Previous grant awards, 14-15 was $21,990. 15-16 was $22,296, and again, this grant is for $21,489. Any questions?
Thank you, Claudia.
Great.
Next we'll move on to Mark Adams, who's here to discuss the agreement between the Treasurer's Office and Link Computer Corp.
Good morning, Commissioners. This
contract is to support the dog license website upgrade that was discussed in the Records Improvement Committee meeting, so that the treasurer can automate the process of printing licenses, both annual and lifetime dog licenses. The cost of that project is $8,500. And again, it was recommended for to be paid out of the Records Improvement Funds.
Any questions for Mark? Thank you, Mark.
Hey, does Diego have a license?
I hope so.
HR, you need to remove.
Okay, next I'd like to call on John Bittner, who's joining us to discuss the department.
You can't be on this for VTC and then come here in person. We should.
Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to be there.
Yeah.
You can still.
Gotta say. I think I get some handouts.
You didn't bring us any larvae today?
No larvae today. I saw Gary at the meeting a couple weeks ago, and he like that. Eyebrows. That's not always a good idea.
You are bringing us new facial.
Yeah, you noticed. See, that was quick. That was pretty quick. So the grant, Zika grant is for 20,000 some odd change. So most of the grant is going to be spent towards surveillance, specifically for Zika mosquitoes. And the rest of it is for educational materials. So some of the educational materials would be the insert that's in our West Nile educational material. And they'd like us to do like more presentations like the one I was at with Gary the other day. So they've come up with, they're going to give us some money for like items like this that we can do so that if we're at a, like for instance, we're going to be in Campville at the Night Out next Tuesday and share a booth with the borough. So we have like this one, and then we have another one that's sort of like it, that's West Nile specific. So we'll have.
Hey, John, turn that around so that people at home can see it.
So we'll have that set up. So that is called Fight the Bite. That's going to be our theme. And that, the grant itself is retroactive to July the 1st, and then it's going to run until the end of the state's year, next year in June. So that's it for the grant. If I give you a couple quick numbers, page 1 on your handout is all of our where we serve surveillance for West Nile. Page 2 shows you what they call the minimum impression rate or the risk comparison, and this is for the whole state, that graph. So they put 2016 on the very left. So this year our infection rate is very low. To bring it home to Cumberland County, our infection rate, to demonstrate that, that is the infection rate has come up with the number of positives versus the number of mosquitoes collected. So in Cumberland County, we've collected so far 43,888 mosquitoes, and we had 6 pools actually come back positive, which is roughly about 800 mosquitoes. So that's in the MIR rate. Page 3 is where we've had West Nile virus positives to date. So we've had 6 so far. You see 4 on the map. One of those came back twice. And then today we just had another one, which is clear at the other end of the county up in Southampton Township, and I don't have that on your map yet. So, and then your page 4 is shows you for Zika where our fixed sites are going to be. Now we're going to monitor through the grant additional sites west of the sites that we have on here. But these are what we call our fixed sites that we will be monitoring weekly. The other sites will be like bi-weekly and as we work them in. So far to date, now the Zika mosquitoes are a different species than the West Nile virus mosquitoes. And I think I did mention to you one time before that the Zika mosquitoes, which are Aedes albopictus, we were less than 1/3% of all the mosquitoes we've collected in the history of the data we have that goes back to 2001. This year, we're up to 0.5% of all the mosquitoes that we've collected are Aedes albopictus mosquitoes. So we are seeing a slight increase in the number of actual species-specific, Zika-specific species that we're collecting. So for instance, we collected
So far this year, 43,000 mosquitoes, and of those 43,000, 227 were that specific species. So that's about 0.5%. So that's kind of where we are with the surveillance so far. We have Zika from July 1 to now. We've collected 39 samples from 9 unique sites.
John, on page 2, what do the numbers represent? There's no legend meaning.
That's a page with the graph.
Yeah.
So that is the number of mosquitoes versus number collected that came back with an infection rate itself. So the 3.49 is the actual infection rate compared to the average number of 1984, and then the 2893. I'm not sure what the big number is. The first two numbers. They just sent this to me this morning. But the basic comparison is from like 2012 when we were overrun with mosquitoes and the infection rate. So I'll have to get that to you with the little index that shows what they are.
That 12 number is really, I forgot about that. Is that part of the natural cycle or?
It's weather related, and it's also, West Nile virus is primarily spread by birds. So it depends on the actual really bird activity and their movement. And now we are seeing, in regards to West Nile virus, our collection numbers, even though we haven't had any rain, are like spiking like crazy. And West Nile should go up any time now, because what happens is, if the birds and the mosquitoes and all the other insects out there in the spring had 25 locations they were going to choose from for water, now they only have like maybe 10. So everybody's going to start congregating together. So the birds that have West Nile are now going to have higher numbers that are congregating in the same places with the mosquitoes who are looking for a blood meal. And then those mosquitoes are going to maybe in our neighborhoods or wherever, and then perhaps.
So you could potentially see that happen again someday.
That could happen someday. Yeah. Right now, we're like on the scale.
It doesn't mean John did not doing his job. It just means.
Correct. Collections wise, if you want to look at collections, we're actually ahead in the number of samples that we've collected than we were from last year.
So, John, this would indicate that the mosquitoes seem to be converging on Commissioner Ertzler's house. Do you think we should have some sense of protection?
We're trying to swoosh them that way.
I got my town out back, I got over dumps in it, so hopefully we can water life from breathing.
And I'm glad you brought that up. That's another part of some of the educational or money that they're giving us will be to supply dumps in some areas where we can get people started and educated on stuff they may have in the backyard that they can't get rid of for whatever reason. So we're going to actually have a door-to-door process that we're going to go through in selected neighborhoods where we think Zika could be more prevalent, so where we have more people traveling or have travel, that kind of thing, and in densely populated areas. So the Zika mosquitoes, the Albopictus, they don't fly, they're not real good flyers. So, if you get bit by a mosquito in your backyard, it's maybe 1 yard over in each direction is a possible distance that it's going to be flying and reproducing, as opposed to, say, like the Culex or the West Nile mosquitoes that fly like a lot further.
Thank you, John.
You bet.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you. Moving on to item number 10, we have Sandy behind the screen. Sandy behind door number 3. Discussion and approval of non-binding letter of intent to be considered as an initial participant in C3 Comprehensive Care Connections, new legal entity of P4A, to enable AAAs, which are our aging agencies, to work collaboratively to contract with and provide services to managed care organizations. Sandy, scooch down a little so we can see your head.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm here.
That's good.
Good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead, Sandy.
Okay, well, as Larry said, this is really an opportunity for us to be part of this new entity, Comprehensive Care Connections. I don't think AAA standing alone would be able to participate with the MCOs just because of the scope and of the services that are required. I think that we would really benefit from this. Now, this is non-binding at this point. It's really early out, and I know we're not even going to be part of this managed care until 2019, but this would give us a seat at the table should we decide to move forward. Right now, again, we're just looking for a letter of interest, non-binding. We're not talking about actual commitment until about October. I think this gives us a good opportunity to make an informed decision about how we're going to move forward with the MCOs and what services we will be able to provide as a group, which I think is, again, the only way AAA would be able to do so.
Right, so Sandy, there's no money attached to this?
Not right now. We would be looking at money probably by November if we want to be part of this initial investment.
Any questions for Sandy?
Sandy, I know we've been playing telephone tag here, but
right.
I will follow up here shortly.
Okay, great. Yeah, I have a lot of information. I just, right now, again, we're in the very early stages, and I think that it will be a good move for us.
And the commissioners have been provided with that background information, so if they have any questions, you'll hear. Thank you, Sandy.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Let's move on to item number 11. Liz, discuss to authorize advertising for pre-employment background screening services.
Good morning, Commissioners. We're here to request our 3-year contract with Castle Branch, who is our current vendor for our pre-employment services, which is the drug tests, the background checks, Social Security verification, is up this year. So, working with the awesome solicitor's office, we have to put this out to bid. So that's what this request is for, and then we'll see if it's back and go from there.
Questions for Liz? Any comments? Keith? No. All right, thank you, Liz. Item number 12, where there is an action requested upon Kirk about authorizing advertising for electronics collections and recycling services.
Commissioners, 2 finance meetings ago, we had a lot of televisions, so we wanted to be clear, there's a lot on those in the recycling industry. So we are requesting action of this today. We'd like to have a bid opening on August 15th. If we are able to do this, do it later this year.
Are there any questions for Kirk before we ask for the action?
I just wanted to share with my colleagues that I received a phone call last week from the President of the Borough Council in New Cumberland, Jack Murray, again, wondering the status of what was going on here, whether we were considering action. And I told Jack that, we've been attempting to address the issue, even though it's not a program that the county is supposed to be responsible for. The fact that this was it's the result of a legislative mandate that whereby the manufacturers are supposed to be responsible for the collection and disposal of recycling rather, of electronics, especially our larger television sets. And so in any event, what Jack shared with me is that in the borough of Des Moines, I guess some folks, are putting their old television sets out at the street up from where they actually live, so that nobody knows, where the TVs are coming from. So I mean, it's something that we need to address. I hope that we get a response to this. But again, I just, it is critically important that we continue to impress upon our legislators that this is a law that needs to be fixed. It's their responsibility to fix the law. The fact of the matter is that the recycling market for especially these old television sets has dried up. And, even if it would be the elimination of the ban on a temporary basis, in other words, lifting the ban on the disposal of these items in our landfills on a temporary basis, that would at least give us some breathing room for everybody to figure out how we're going to do this. Again, it was a law, Gary knows this as our liaison, well-intended to protect our environment, but is now threatening our environment because we have these old television sets that are showing up in our parks and in our farms and along the roads. And nobody knows what to do with it because there's no way to get rid of them. There's no way to get rid of them legally. And, that's why, this needs to be addressed in the legislature. One other thought I have with respect to the bid is that because this is not just, it should not be a county responsibility, but I would suggest that we consider reaching out to our municipalities if we end up with a proposal that comes back and says, this is what we'll do, the cost to take the stuff. But in terms of if we would consider using our own employees, perhaps this is an area where we could get some volunteer support from some of our municipalities, because it's a problem that they face as well. So I hope that we get a response to this bid. I was talking to Justin the other day. He told me that right now it's not costing Dauphin County any money, but he told me that the folks from Dauphin County said that if in fact this turns into a situation, however Dauphin County is doing it, where it's costing them money, that they may discontinue it. 2/3 of the counties in Pennsylvania have no way to dispose of, especially these old television sets. That's what the law has caused right now. And some of our counties have some options that, as a result of facilities that they had previously. And again, I just go back and emphasize, underscore, this was never supposed to be a county responsibility. So anyway, I'm supportive of this effort, to at least provide for an interim solution for our residents. But and regardless of whose responsibility it is. But this is going to cost us money. It's going to cost us money, and we're going to be potentially diverting funds that previously were used and have been used for important land partnership programs in our county, and so that's unfortunate. So I expect this is continued. I mean, I know CCAP has been trying to address it, but it all comes down to the legislature doing its job. And I think we need, maybe what we should do here, because apparently it's landing on deaf ears, maybe we ought to get a meeting together with our state legislators and explain to them exactly what the challenge is here, and see whether or not they can afford to address it. I don't know when we usually have these meetings with our lawmakers, every once in a while. This is something I think we need to discuss with them, and at least it would be nice to know that our delegation is actually pushing to do something. Right now, it seems to be almost like out of sight, out of mind, and of course they're in recess right now.
We did send a letter to Leon expressing our strong feeling that there needs to be attention to this.
And again, I think you had mentioned, Barry, the Representative Bloom has introduced a bill now.
Yes, that would lift the debate.
But I think it's, it would be helpful to kind of like get our legislators, if we could, in a room and hear from them as to when this is going to be addressed, or what steps are actually being taken.
I guess Bloom's the only one who has committee connections to this issue. So I'm all for, we used to meet with the legislative delegation periodically 2-3 times a year anyway. We can certainly do it. Reminders don't hurt. I would have very high expectations. Given maybe this time it'll be similar to when we asked them about the human services. If we expect us to do that. But I don't think I'm going to be very pleased. But if we want to schedule something, that can certainly be an agenda item. We've done the letter. We received one response back, I think. Did we receive one response back? We got a nice white book from Blue or something. Keep an eye on it or something.
That was promising.
Well, it just seems like we're talking past each other. I don't know what they're, it's not sinking in or whatever.
They don't know what to do.
It doesn't seem to be a priority.
Clearly is not a priority. So the question I have, Kirk, is there, maybe this isn't the place to ask it, but if we get no takers on this, which is a definite possibility, is there any plan B? Do we have anything else?
Yeah, we'll have to talk, because I think, we've tried an RFP for a recycling center. We're trying an RFP for an event, if we get no takers on either one of those. I'm not sure. We're probably down to plan X, Y, or Z at that point. We're really exhausted a lot of the options that would make sense. And then you're starting to get into real costly options that I don't think we would want to do.
I'll echo the comment that Jim made about, robbing our land partnerships money for this. That's a real shame, because there's a lot of meaningful impact across the county to a lot of different communities. So we can do that, but I would hate to do it as anything more than just a stopgap, which implies that there will be a solution at some point. But right now, we don't even see the prospects for resolution of this issue. That's extremely discouraging.
Well, there's a definite need here. And again, that's why, I also suggest if we get a response to the bid that would essentially the one where they don't provide the collection service, that we would provide that with our staff. But I think that's an opportunity to, hopefully get some assistance from our municipalities on that, perhaps.
That's happened in the past.
For the manpower.
It's happened in the past. It's essential. We can't do this with just county staff, so it's going to be a partnership with municipalities if we go that route.
Okay. So there is action requested.
Is there a motion, please?
So,
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners.
I have a question of Kirk. On the project that will be August 20th, which will, hazardous waste, et cetera, I'm anticipating there's going to be people with truckloads of televisions coming. Do we have something set up?
Yes.
The SWAT team or?
We have this in the press release, we have it bold and underlined. In all of our materials, we have it bold and underlined. We'll anticipate that. We're going to have signs out front that say, latex paint's available, you can dispose of that in your normal trash stream. No latex paint, no TVs. Because we'll get, last year we had, unfortunately, it was actually one of our board members, but we had someone come up with a truckload of TVs. I think they just figured there's wrong with that, but it does happen. You're right.
I did notice on the materials that promote the collection of hazardous waste, that it does specifically say no TVs, but if nobody sees that, right?
Thanks, Kirk.
Thank you, Kirk. Let's move on to item number 13. Call on Lynette. There's a grad there on TC. Discussion and award of landscape, concrete sidewalk for the Memorial Garden at CNRC.
Yes, Commissioners. The award or the bid for the landscape and concrete work for the Memorial Garden that will be fully funded by the endowment that we have received in 2014. No general fund dollars will be needed for this. The bid opening was done on July 20th. We had 2 bids coming in for each of the disciplines, meaning the landscape and the concrete. We have all of those bidders did attend the mandatory pre-bid meeting, and so they are all eligible to bid. There were 2 for McElwee and Kinsley, both bid on the concrete, and Davis and Kinsley both bid on the landscaping. We are recommending that you approve the low bid on both of the different disciplines, and that would be Davis Landscape at $60,000 and McElwee at $23,500 for the concrete. Any questions?
Keith has a comment here.
I do. Under the county code, one of the requirements that we have when bids are opened is to announce to the bidders when the award may be made. And that was announced for Monday if an award is to be made, not for action today. is there any urgency that you need several days, that you can't wait until Monday to make the award?
No, we're just trying to, that the contract will be planning for the September 30th completion date, and it was just basically allowing the award to go out today so that the contract could be sent out to the vendors and they start to get their bonding and things like that to get back and get started as soon as possible.
Okay, but waiting until
If
Monday.
that's not possible,
Waiting until Monday will not throw this thing, I mean, we want to move forward expeditiously, but there's a compliance issue, and it will not undermine your efforts to get this done on time.
that's fine.
You can still notify the lowest responsible bidders that it's anticipated that the bid will be awarded Monday. That way they can catch up whatever
Okay,
time.
that is fine. We will do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you both.
Any other questions?
All right, thanks, folks. Let's move on to item number 14, Commissioners' Liaison Reports. Chairman DeFilippo.
Yes, the library board met July 18th. They approved the financial audit report, and the library received what is known as an unmodified audit opinion. This is the best opinion possible, and indicates that financial statements are materially correct and there were no findings or recommendations. The library system is agreed as a pilot project test site for the Commonwealth libraries to explore the use of something called Ready Rosie, which is an early education tool for parents. It provides brief videos, approximately a minute long, in English and Spanish. Each video contains a short example of how to get your child ready to learn in school by providing examples, etc. The library system successfully made a switch to Comcast internet services via the Capital Area Intermediate Unit on July 1st. Let's see. Their finance committee will be meeting on Monday, August 1st to review their financial status. First draft of their 2017 budget will be reviewed also on August 1st. The approved state budget does not include any additional money for public libraries, but the state library did receive a 10% increase. And that's it.
Thank you. Any questions for Commissioner DeFilippo? Thank you, Commissioner Herzler.
Okay, thank you. The Capital Region Council of Governments met Monday evening, July 18th, and the COG heard presentations from Bob Riley, Deputy Chief of Staff to Congressman Perry, and also from Dave Black, President and CEO of the Harrisburg Chamber in Creedick. In the interim, between that meeting and this meeting today, the annual COG auction took place Wednesday, July 20, and as of the meeting for COG, there were 23 confirmed participants compared to 22 in the previous year, and I'm sure we'll be getting a report on how that went in the near future. The August 15th Capital Region Council of Governments Board meeting has been canceled. However, in its place, CapCog is hosting a regional firefighters forum with the intent of zeroing in on what more our municipalities can do together to promote volunteerism and to maintain the viability of our all-important volunteer first responder organizations throughout the region. The forum, which I would also invite my colleagues to attend if they can, if it fits their schedules, is set from 6 to 9 p.m. at Harrisburg Area Community College, North Hall, room 205, and I can send you more information on that, but it begins at 6 o'clock in the evening on August the 15th, and presenters include State Fire Commissioner Tim Sullivan, Robert Brady from the Local Services Section of the Department of Community and Economic Development, Camden Township Assistant Fire Chief Jerry Ozog, and Fire Service Institute Executive Director Don Kunkel, who's also a former fire chief in the city of Harrisburg. The county's Housing and Redevelopment Authority boards met last Thursday, July 21. They conducted their annual meeting and re-elected their officers. Tim Whalen has now commenced his duties as the Housing and Redevelopment Authority's new executive director. And as the board's liaison, I have a meet and greet with Tim scheduled coming up here in the next week, I believe. The county's Conservation District Board met this Tuesday night, and with the new agreement with DEP, district staff are gearing up for compliance inspections of 50 farms in the county in the year ahead. It's all part of the reboot of the Chesapeake Bay tributary strategy. As you recall, there were some counties in the state that didn't want to participate in the compliance inspections. Our board decided that it made sense to participate, in that it's better to have our county folks doing the inspections as opposed to some bureaucrat from DEP or some contracted entity from DEP. In any event, we have a working relationship with the farmers in Cumberland County. The most important part of this is to make sure that we're being credited for the best management practices that have been implemented on our farms, and that inure to the benefit of our farmers, and with respect to what the requirements are either from EPA or DEP. I think that from my read on this at this point is DEP and EPA seem to still be talking past each other. EPA has talked about doing some of their own inspections in York County. To me, it's another reason why government gets a bad name. The fact of the matter is that this is important, I understand that, but the heavy hand of government, what we need to do is and the intent of the reboot is to provide for a cooperative partnership process as opposed to Big Brother coming down, the hammer. So our folks will not be doing enforcement actions. We will be, essentially doing the inspections. Any enforcement actions would still be the responsibility of the Department of Environmental Protection. But in any event, as part of this, we are also receiving funding to pay for our inspections and the costs for employees for this purpose. So, in any event, I plan to be in attendance at the annual conference of the County Commissioners Association beginning Sunday, August 7th through Wednesday, August 10th. And I wanted to let my colleagues know that our resolution calling for reform of the legislative and congressional redistricting process in Pennsylvania, and in particular action to authorize the appointment of an independent and nonpartisan Citizens Commission to conduct this task, is on the agenda as a new resolution for the full CCAP membership's consideration. As I believe I reported previously, the County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania to date has not taken a position previously on this issue. Our proposal was reported by the Governance Committee, the Elections Reform Committee, and the Resolutions Committee without recommendation. And however, if there are no objections or concerns by my colleagues, I would be honored to speak in favor of our resolution at the conference. So that's all I've got.
Questions or comments for Commissioner Hersler?
I'll indicate support for you speaking in favor of the resolution.
Me as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hersler. Commissioner Eichelberg.
Okay, just a handful of items, many of which have been touched on today, so I won't revisit those too heavily here. The recycling issue, there was no board meeting this month, and I did call Justin and ask if there's any recent movement on anything, particularly on the legislative side. I did not give him enough time to get back. It was my fault. But if I get an update here, I'll pass something along to you that we haven't already covered. Just want to reiterate the thanks of the board. I'm not sure we were real articulate on that when Cotton was here, but Mechanicsburg is the first municipal sponsor we've had in helping on this, and well, it's my hometown, and I think we should send them some type of, at the very least, since the press wasn't here, maybe we could submit our photo to all the media
Press
outlets.
chairman, so I don't hear it again, but yeah, that'd be good.
We know.
Yeah, I agree. Here, if I could interject there, I was thinking the same thing. We should send a thank you letter from the board of commissioners to Borough Council.
Zach, it's item 6 up there. We had, we have a press release already handed out. We have a nice photo that was taken, so anything we can do to encourage other municipalities to help out on that hazardous household waste with them would be nice, because we're going to go that route in the future, asking for sponsorships as well. They were first to step up. It's $500. It's pretty substantial. So, anyhow, on that, Kirk gave us a full detailed on the household hazardous waste on the August 20th, so that was one of the reminders I was going to offer. Of course, we can always use volunteer help for that, so just want to reiterate that. I'll do my best to be here as well. On planning, Kirk covered a number of items there, but I just mentioned that comp plan process continues to move forward. There was considerable discussion in the last planning commission meeting on that. We've all seen information provided and Kirk back on the draft. So if you have anything additional to that, we should probably expedite that soon. I met with him this week and covered a lot of detailed things since I raised a number of points. It's extremely helpful. I'd encourage you to do the rest of you as well. So, MHID was here, discussed their issues. Also, the MH component of the human services plan, we were each provided, the advisory board members were all provided copies of that for review as well. If there wasn't any commentary on that at the board meeting. I had some other notes from MHID that I left back on my desk. If there's anything essential there, I'll pass those along. We have the EDC is finalizing their destination sales analysis, which we discussed at the board meeting. All three of us were present, and they're going to be implementing the next phase of recommendations to that to help bolster the visitor promotion effort. And just a quick reminder, September 12th, they do their golf outing, and it may seem kind of frivolous to discuss a golf outing, but that is a major fundraiser for them, and that helps the EDC fund a lot of their operations, since most of the hotel tax money, as we know, goes for visitor promotion. On the business development side, they have to raise money in addition to some of the other revenue sources, including some county funding. So that's an important event, and there's a social event afterwards, and they would really appreciate it if one or more commissioners can make it for that as an opportunity to say thank you to those businesses that participate and help sustain our business development.
Gary, where is that?
Yeah. It's in Carlisle Country Club. It'll be September 12th. The dinner event is right around dinner time, unless you're going to golf. But anything. The Vince is the golfer on the board, so we'll make sure he gets some participation.
Ever almost killed somebody a couple of years back. I don't golf.
I told you, when I went golfing with Commissioner Barkley, I accidentally ended up putting a knot on his thigh.
Not everybody's born to golf.
But I will say, Commissioner Barkley played better after he got hit with the golf ball.
I
hit the ball. But anyhow, that's a nice event for them. It's always welcome, it's always sold out. And if any of us can make it, it's a nice way to thank the community's businesses for their support. That's everything.
Questions or comments from Commissioner Eichelberger? Thank you, Commissioners. Item 15, report, an executive session held July 27th, 2016 at 11:30 regarding litigation issues. I'd also like to request an executive session regarding personnel issues following this meeting. Is there any other business to bring before the Board of Commissioners? John?
I have an answer to the question. This is week 26, week 27, and week 28 of each year.
Okay. Thank Thank you, John.
I have one clarification for the chief clerk, is still really the new guy. He made a remark earlier on about John's new edition of facial hair. It's not new, it's the return of the old.
It's the return of the old.
I remember those days, so.
Well, you know.
Remember, I used to look like Larry, I could do an impersonation of Larry.
Yes,
You could maybe when you actually grow up.
there was actually more up here as well as Larry.
Yeah. Thanks for making me that character.
All right. Facial and dome hair. Standing, we are adjourned. Thank you.